Hey guys, Lucas here at Adventure Surplus, and today we're going to dig into the 48-hour kit. Now what this is a two-part series, and it's going to go over the backpack, an assault pack, full pack for 48 hours, plus a chest rig plus belt combo that also plays in this whole 48-hour kit. So what this is just going to be a kit you could pack up, and it's going to sustain you for 48 hours out in the woods, in the plains, in the mountains. Now, I made some compromises in some areas, overpacked in some areas, and just had to generally adjust my kit to my area. So as you're watching this, if you're, first time you're kind of doing this thing, just looking for some tips, take what I'm going to talk about and plug and play with how it works best in your area. Don't just, not everything works in every area. I had to pack extra in some areas just because where I'm at. But enough of that. So let's dig into the 48-hour kit, part one, the assault pack. Or parts 1 and 2, depending on how you're watching this. All right, so first things first, I have used a U.S. Army assault pack for this. Now that limited me in some areas as far as how much I could pack. It definitely changed how I packed. I love the U.S. Army assault packs, but they're small. When it goes past, or when you start having to carry everything you need to survive out in the wild, these definitely make you pack less and really think about what you're packing. So U.S. Army assault pack, it does the trick. It's packed out. There's no room for extra stuff. So if you're looking, I pack this in the mindset of the average infantryman, which as a civilian, that's kind of what we're doing. If you're in the Army or the Marine Corps and you're kind of looking at this thing, or were there, y'all know there's no room for a lot of extra stuff you have to carry. So that's where the assault pack limited me within the U.S. Army one. Philby assault packs from like Marine Corps, you have a little extra room in there, but as we go through, you'll see kind of why I ran out of room really quickly, and we'll kind of go over ways you can change up that. But yeah, so that's what I packed this in. You can kind of see what's on there, but now let's dig into the outside, and then we'll pull out all the contents so we can see what I've got packed in here and what really makes this a 48-hour bag that's going to sustain me for 48 hours. So the outside of this backpack, we'll go from the fronts and around, everything like that. We'll start over here. So over here, I have a 1-quart canteen and a standard issued canteen pouch. Now this one has the canteen with it because you never know, especially when you're out for over a day period of time, if you're gonna need a canteen cup, and it's a good way to eat your food, boil some water, everything in general. And then in the pouch on the side, I have some water purification tablets. Now these are just if I have to resupply water. And then on the other side, I have a fire making kit. This is just one of the old, or not old, but pilot fire starter kits. Pretty simple. It's got everything you need in there to start a fire if I needed to. So that's kind of wrapping in some survival aspects into this backpack. If I really just kind of get into it, get in the middle of nowhere, and I need to start a fire, need to purify more water. Now to go on the water, as we go through this, you'll see I have a ton of water, and we'll go over that now as to why I have so much water in this kit. And that is purely because I'm in Colorado. I'm in a fairly arid state, especially in the area, the region of Colorado we're in, which, work-wise, we're down on the plains, the very edge of the plains. It's a pretty arid area. Every stream is pretty seasonal. We don't get a lot of rainfall. So if I'm taking into consideration water in my make-believe situation, I have to use this backpack. I might not be able to resupply water very easily. And, streams might not be available easily. Any sort of pond or lake may not be something I can just walk up to and fill my canteens and bladders with. So the ability to carry a lot of water all at once is something I built this backpack able to do, and that took up a lot of space. Starting with, on the sides, I have 1-quart canteens. But yeah, we'll show the rest of the water as we go through this, but I wanted to cover that really quick as far as part of the reason this backpack got so big so quick is just water. I have 2 1-quarts and 3-liter bladder in this backpack. And that's quite a bit. So yeah, enough of that. Going from there, I do have 550 cord in this pouch. I got a ready rope. I like the ready ropes a lot. I mean, obviously you can condense that 100 feet I have on here down a little bit by having it off a ready rope. But that ready rope just gives me an easier capability to keep my 550 cord organized. It's easy to use off that spool. It's real quick and simple, and it's gonna play into what we see next, which is a tarp that I have strapped on the front of my assault pack. This is going to play into the shelter aspect of this. And I have more inside to play into the shelter and sleep part, because this is 4 to 8 hours and can be resupply. You know, resupply can make this last a lot longer. But I do have a Marine Corps tarp, same as the Army issue ones, just in woodland marpat. Works great for the mountains, especially for the coyote side too. Works great in the plains. But that plays into shelter first. I have 550 cord, easy to get to right away. If I drop my pack, I can just set my shelter up really quick. Everything's right there to tie off. And I do have stakes wrapped up in that tarp too, in a little baggie, or carry bag. So if I get somewhere I need to stake it out to, I got 550 cord for guy lines, everything like that. I can get a shelter set up super quick if the weather turns, which it's Colorado, and the weather can turn pretty quick out here. Now, continuing from there, more stuff. Another 1 quart canteen. I don't have anything in these side pouches for it, but there's a whole other 1 quart right there. And then in front of it, I have 2 extra mags. Now, if we're looking at this as the standard civilian kind of thing, you might not need, you can take all the tactical out of here and just look at this as far as like emergency preparedness. I got to get up and go somewhere. Don't know where I'm going to go. Just kind of had a good idea how to pack that bag. But in the more, my imagination's running wild in this one. I am working on my own resupply through this backpack. This is my sustainment. So having 2 extra mags that'll play into the kit, I'm going to go over the next part of this video, really helps me self-sustain. 2 mags ain't a whole lot, but it's better than none. Better than no extra mags, I should say that. So, yep. I also have a tourniquet right here, just kind of wedged in that elastic. That's just to have an extra one handy. You can never have enough tourniquets at the end of the day. And then hanging off here off this strap, I just have some rubber bands, Ranger bands, and electrical tape on a carabiner. That's just because it's electrical tape and rubber bands are the easiest way to secure and fix something if it breaks while I'm carrying it. If something just starts wobbling real bad on my rifle or my kit, I can rubber band it or tape it up, and it's gonna be super easy. And with having 550 cord on the exterior of my bag, it's another way to fix really quick if I have an issue with my backpack, rifle, the rest of my kit. I bust a buckle. So that's the outside of this kit, other than just this little camo net, one of those 5x8 individual camo nets we have. I really like those things. The 6 color works really well in Colorado for pretty much all over the place. Even up here in the mountains where it's starting to green out because winter's finally starting to go away. But it's just nice to have this, adds a layer of concealment. If I hit the plains, even better. So that's the outside of this backpack. And then just a carabiner on top, because it's always good to have one kind of way to secure it to a vehicle, or if you're in a building, hang it up really easily, or tie it off if you have to drag this thing. The carabiner makes it really easy to tie to a drag point. So that's the outside. Now let's start digging into the inside where the bulk of this kit is. All right, so to dig into the contents, we're gonna start at the front and then move to the main pocket. So let's see what we got in here. So I have a little LRF in here. Now this is, just because I'm in Colorado, distances are longer. I'm not a long range shooter by any means, but it does help to have an LRF for distance, direction, and plotting accurately on your map. I have 1 fuel strip MRE in the front pocket. This is kind of like my ready meal. If I stop somewhere, I'm in a group, we take a halt, I can pull this out, and it's really easy to have just a meal right there ready to go, or I could replace it with snacks, whatever it may be. But having a meal easy to get to is kind of nice. Map, this would be extra maps in this case, wrapped up in a waterproof case that I can tie down within my bag, and we don't lose them. If I have to switch maps because I'm moving long distances, keep them in this case, along with other documents, commo cards in the military, GRGs, stuff like that. It's a great way to keep those handy and safe and waterproof. As well as in there, a spare headlamp, just a spare bag. This is, think of it like SSC, think of it just like you're going in there and you hit an area where you can kind of resupply, you gotta grab stuff quick. A bag like this, it's easy to get to within your kit, is gonna help you out quite a bit. So that way you can just pull this out, shove it full, lash it to your bag, or redistribute it at another point, but you can grab it really quickly and easily. Rifle cleaning kit, I could trim this down, but I did put the whole one in there, just to kind of see how it took up space within there. But rifle cleaning kit, going out there for an extended amount of time, you want to have a way to maintain your rifle. Something I did forget to put in here this morning was a small hygiene kit. Now, this is built around 48 hours. Upon resupply, this backpack could sustain you longer than that. But a hygiene kit, keeping it simple is kind of key here. Stuff to wipe your butt with, stuff to give you a little bath. You wipe your pits, wipe your crotch, wipe your face off at the end of the day. You know, extended time-wise, a toothbrush would be really nice, because brushing your teeth after a couple of days and not being able to is a really, really good pick-me-up. But yeah, other than that, I did forget the hygiene kit, shove it in there this morning, but that is something I would have in here, just a really trimmed down one, mainly worried about wiping my butt and wiping my face off. In this front pocket, I have signal gear. I got an IR strobe, I got Chem lights of multiple varieties, a decent chunk of VS17 panel, and then a signal mirror. So those are all signal methods. You know, in the more civilian emergency preparedness aspect, these are always to mark your position if you get lost. So you're out there, this is the bag you grab, because I'm out in the woods, I was camping or something like that, or I live out here in a cabin and there's a forest fire and I gotta just run because it picked up real fast. I gotta get out of there. Ability to signal where you're at is gonna be key, especially if, you know, you have to just kind of book it and don't get on a road or something like that because the road's cut off. But in general, signal stuff, I kind of always go overboard, just because of when I was in the Army. I was a forward observer. Signal stuff was big on us. Just being able to signal aircraft, friendlies, stuff like that. Always having extra was huge. So I have more on the other components of my kit, but having that right there, easy to grab in the front of my pack. If I need it, it's easy to get to. I can take that strobe, strap it on the kit, be good to go. And from there, in the interior pocket in the front section, I have some small gear repair patches just in case, emergency survival blanket just in case. That can play into my other part of my sleep system that I have tucked in the main compartment as a way to add up or boost the heat up a little bit. But yeah, and then also shoved in here are batteries. Just a baggie full of batteries. You know, post in the comments below your favorite way to store your batteries. I'm just a baggie kind of guy. I like baggies. That's how I've always done it. I know there's really nifty ways these days to pack your batteries, but I'm a simple man. But yeah, so that's the front compartment. Everything's kind of easy to grab, stuff I'm going to need on a regular basis, and probably going to use more than once during the day. Everything else in the main compartment is stuff I'm not going to use a whole lot. So let's get this front pocket packed up and then dig into the main compartment. All right, so now we're getting the main compartment, and you're going to see a lot of the bulk that makes up this backpack. Now, I didn't go over this at the beginning, but I will now. This whole thing only weighs a touch over 35 pounds. So the whole, you know, infantryman, especially in the Army at least, I don't know the Marine Corps standard, but a lot of the ruck marches, the standard's 35 pounds. 35 pounds this, 35 pounds that. You can expect to carry 35 pounds, you know, a great distance, whatever it is. This only weighed a little over 35 pounds, like didn't even hit 36. So much stuff as I have in here wasn't too crazy as far as weight. And that's about as much as I really want to put in a assault pack. Army issued assault pack. Once you start breaking like 40, 45 pounds, these straps just, they don't do a whole lot of good for you. But yeah, let's dig into this thing and see what else I got in here. What kind of brings us up into that 48-hour sustain yourself, live out of kind of backpack. First off, the rest of my MREs. I have these all on top. You could kind of redistribute them throughout if you want to, but I do have them all on top. Just 3 more field strip MREs. MREs are just super easy to field strip. The calories aren't gonna be great when you strip them down, but it's food, it's on you. Obviously, if you don't have MREs, you can kind of make do with other things, but stripped MREs, really lightweight. All right, from there, right under my MREs, and again, you can kind of repack this how you want to if you kind of want to replicate this as far as what's in order. What were the top? Now in Colorado, it doesn't rain a lot. The rain's very seasonal. The snow is very seasonal too, but having a wet weather top there in case it does start to dip down in temperature is nice. It's a quick way to add some insulation. This is a size large, so it's one size larger than I normally wear, which is great because when I have the rest of my kit on, I can throw this on and kind of cover it up too, especially if it's raining. But yeah, wet weather top, really nice, easy to have. In here, this just has spare socks, 2 spare socks and a spare t-shirt. 48 hours, you know, you don't really, unless you get really wet, really cold, changing your socks, don't quite need to, but it is nice, you know, in the longer term, if I do end up living out of this backpack for a long amount of time, having those spare socks, change them out, rotate them, let them dry off, and a spare t-shirt is a really quick way to just feel better and keep yourself healthier, especially your feet. Once your feet go down, you're down. Also in here, 3-liter bladder like I talked about, which brings up my total water capacity on this backpack to 3 liters plus 2 quarts, which is a little over a gallon. I forget liters to quarts, but yeah, a little over a gallon of water on my kit right here. So that's nice. It's a lot of water. It's not 40 hours worth of water, but if I can replenish my water, water's the hardest thing to carry. I mean, carrying 2 days worth of water is extremely heavy and extremely hard. So rationing your water properly is gonna be really important in this kind of kit if you don't have the ability to resupply your water and replenish. And then just knowing when you need to drink water and when you're just like, your mouth's dry, what the difference is, you know, things like that. But water is the hardest thing to pack for multiple days. Really heavy, really bulky. So planning a resupply and rationing your water properly in a healthy manner is gonna be really important in this case. But enough of that. So what makes this kit really bulky and just like takes up the most room and is what's gonna be the thing you might wanna think about the most as far as how you're packing, and what's gonna change the most is your sleep system and how you're gonna sleep out in the open. If you're out in the open in Colorado, wherever you're at, what you're gonna sleep in, how warm is it gonna be, what's the season, do I need to pack more of a sleep system because it's colder outside? Right now in the mountains especially, it's still getting below 30 degrees, so it's pretty chilly. This might not do me very much good out here. I'm gonna be cold, I'm gonna be miserable. In the short term, that's okay. In the long term, it's not. But what I have here is my sleep system, and it is a USMC Bivy. We just carry those now, it's really nice. Wanted to get some more work with it. And it has a Wooby inside of it. So is that a terribly warm sleep system? No, it's a Ranger roll at the end of the day. So it's a really lightweight, really more or less compact way to sleep. It's more or less all weather, so I can sleep outside, not really have to worry about it. In conjunction with my tarp, I can really kind of set myself up nicely. If the weather's getting a little worse, it's starting to rain, the wind's just chopping super bad, I can get myself out of the wind a little bit, or I can wrap myself in my tarp, in my Wooby, inside my bivy sack, along with that emergency blanket I have in there as well, and kind of live a little more comfortably in colder weather. But you know, all those things kind of combined help out, but separately, I can make myself live a little bit nice too. So that's everything inside the main compartment. That takes up a lot. The thing that took up the most space is definitely the Bivy plus Wooby Ranger roll. You could strap that to the outside. I had a stuff sack, I shoved in that stuff sack, and the way it fit in my backpack, it just took up, it made it bulkier in ways that just made my backpack harder to pack around. So that's why I just left it as is. It's easier to get out, easier to throw back in. Like that, I could just strap it onto the front. I could throw my tarp in here, it takes a little less space, and then just strap it right here and get going in the morning. And then it'd be really easy in the evening to undo, especially if it get rained on. It's gonna dry out a little better on the outside of my backpack. Yeah, it looks a little bit like a gypsy camp, but you know, you can only complain so hard when it's survival. So yeah, that's everything in the assault packs. Let's close this out with a few things to go along with everything. All right, for packing lists for this video, to kind of close this out, I went off experience based off what I use in the Army. It's been a long time since I was in the Army, but you know, went off that. And then I also went off a packing list that Milsim West use, just to kind of reference. They have a really, really great packing list for their events. So if you want to look for one that's easy to find, easy to look up, easy to reference, Milsim West does have a good packing list within their tax op. And then just in general, went off what I would kind of want to carry, everything like that. Now, in the military context, if you're watching this, you're in the Army, in the Marine Corps, we're in there, whatever it may be, you know that you don't carry stuff just for you out in the military when you're on patrol, doing whatever you're doing. You can be expected to carry stuff to support the crew serves, stuff to support the medic, stuff to support the mortars, crew serves. And if your job specialty has you carrying more stuff in the first place, such as a medic, a forward observer, you're a commo guy, you're the RTO for the platoon, you might not have room for a lot of these things. That might mean you pick up and have to carry a bigger backpack to begin with. I really limited this, supporting myself, working in a small team. We don't have anything like really specialized as far as equipment. So carrying the batteries I need is really easy. If you're carrying, if you have a handheld radio like a 152, 148, if you have a man pack like an ASIP or a 117 Fox or Goff, or you have targeting devices, those batteries take up a lot of space really quickly, especially if you're using them on a regular basis. So, double A's, triple A's, not a lot of space. 148 battery, it's a small brick. A couple of those start to take up a lot of space, start to add weight real quick. 5590 batteries for ASIPs or 117s. Big batteries take up a lot of space and weigh as much as a 1-quart canteen. Targeting equipment takes a lot of space. Things like that. 100-round belts for 249s or 240s take up not a lot of space, but it does need space to carry them if you're putting them inside. You can put them on the outside, but that's, you know, up to your platoon or whatever it may be, or squad. So all things you might have to worry about in the military context. It wouldn't necessarily fit in here as much stuff as I have. If you're moving between trucks, you can definitely drop stuff. If you're just on a movement where your trucks drop you off, you're in an armored vehicle, some sort of track or wheeled, trucks drop you off, you're gonna move for a day or two and then meet them at another assembly area of some sort. You can drop a little bit, carry a little less, you'll be good to go. Shelter may not be so important because you're moving between vehicles, just on foot patrols for the day, things like that. But yeah, that's just what ifs, and you know, who knows what's gonna happen in the day. But in a civilian context, if you're packing for emergency, this is a good like baseline to go off of. You might have to just hit the woods. This is kind of something you can work off of for a packing list. But yeah, aside from that, if you have any critiques, corrections, things you would drop, things you would add, a favorite assault pack, civilian backpacks and other aftermarket tactical backpacks can definitely allow you to have more space to carry more stuff more comfortably. I just really wanted to limit myself to the smallest kind of backpack that's easily available and is gonna fit everything I need, which was the three-day U.S. Army assault pack. So that's that. But I do appreciate you watching. Stay tuned for part 2, and yeah, see you in the next one.